Hello BookTube, Sarah here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you with my August 2017 TBR. TBR time! For those of you who might be new to my channel, every month I participate in the Triple RC Challenge, which is the Romance Readers Reading Challenge group on Goodreads. I will leave a link to their group in the down bar below. And every month they post a monthly challenge where they give you 10 different categories and you need to find books to fit those categories. Now, as I say every month, you do not just have to read romance novels. I really feel that these, most of these categories are open-ended enough that you can probably fit books from other genres or what have you. I know Kristan from Kizzy Reads, she is making sure she reads nothing but romance for all of these every month. But I am allowing myself to mix it up a little bit. So there are 10 categories, so let's jump right in and get started. So category number 1. A is for August. Read a book that starts with A or a book whose author's first or last name starts with A. So I sorted my TBR into alphabetical order and went with one of the oldest books that was not part of a series, and that is Aaron Under Construction by Marin Thomas. This is part of a series. It's the first book in the McKay brothers series, but since it's the first book, I thought I'd start here. And this is about a man who has been riding the coattails essentially of his very wealthy family. And his grandfather decides to exile him and I guess make him learn that, you know, to work to earn an honest day's pay. And he goes and begins working on a housing project in Los Angeles. And the foreman is actually a woman. So that's kind of different and nice. This is a Harlequin American romance novel. So it'll be a rather easy read and I'm very much looking forward to it. Category number 2, Happy Anniversary. Read a book that was published in August of any year, or read a book by a Triple RC member that joined in August of any year. So I went on and I look at all the people who joined in August. They give you the link to the list, and I always try and find somebody with like a lot of books, and I found someone that we have some books in common. And the one book that jumped out at me that she had that I had is one that I just bought recently, and that is The Witches of New York by Amy McKay. I'm very much looking forward to this. It's a historical magical realism kind of book about some women in Gilded Age New York. So it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun and I cannot wait to read it. Category number 3 is the Featured Author Challenge, and this month it is Lisa Renee Jones. And it says read one book written by Lisa Renee Jones or any author with her first or last name. So there's also some other caveats that you could pick if you don't want to read this author. And I didn't realize at first that she has actually written quite a number of Harlequin Blaze novels, and I had one of them. And that one is Lone Star Surrender, and it is like I said, it's a Blaze novel, and it's about a man who is set to not stand trial, but he is coming in as a witness, and he is now on the run because I guess the bad guys are after him for some reason, and it kind of goes from there. So it sounds good. She is quite well known for her erotic novels, so you know this one's going to be really spicy, but yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it. Category number 4. August is National Catfish Month. Read a book where someone goes fishing or with a fish on the cover or is set in one of the U.S. states mentioned, or in the South. And the states that were mentioned is Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, or Texas. And I picked a book that is set in Texas, and that is Ransom Canyon by Jodi Thomas. This is the first book in the Ransom Canyon series. It's about a family who live and work on a ranch in a small Texas town. And yeah, there's going to be romance in this one. I believe that this one is a second chance romance, so I'm very much looking forward to it. I've been slowly collecting the books in this series, so I'm really glad to finally get a chance to start it. Category number 5, National Picnic Month. Read a book with picnic or basket in the text, or with a character or author whose name is any variation of Tony or Willis, or a book with food or a sky on the cover. So I went with one with food on the cover because I've had this one on my TBR for a while and I've been really looking forward to reading it. And that is Looking for Salvation at the Dairy Queen by Susan Gregg Gilmore. This is a story, like a coming of age kind of story that's set in the 1970s in a very, very small town. I think it's in Georgia. That it says on the back of the book has one stoplight and a Dairy Queen. And this young girl who is the daughter of the Baptist minister spends her weekend sitting at this Dairy Queen kind of plotting how she's going to leave to Atlanta. And then she does. And then tragedy brings her back to the small town, and I guess the story goes from there. So this one sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it, and I just love that cover. I just think it's too adorable. Category number 6. August the 1st is National Mountain Climbing Day. Read a book with mountains on the cover or that is set in New York State or has the numbers 4 or 6 in the page number. So the book I decided to go with was The Best Man by Kristan Higgins. This book is set in Upper New York State, I think in the Finger Lakes region, like wine country of New York State. And I've read this book at least twice that I can think of off the top of my head. I read it the first time in print when it was first released. I reread it again a year or so ago, or a year or two ago, in ebook form. But this time, because I didn't realize I had actually bought it, but I do own it for Audible. So I'm going to listen to it on audio this time around, which is the only book, typically when I do my TBRs and when I talk about these books, these are all books I read in ebook format on my e-reader. But this one I'm actually going to listen to on audio because I think it'll give another different way to the story. I mean, I know the story, I've read it twice, but it is an absolute favorite of mine. And like I said, it's the first thing that came to mind when it said a book set in New York State. So I'm very much looking forward to getting back into this world. I do apologize. I do not have the name of the narrator. I completely meant to write that down. I will put it right here. And again, I am sorry that I don't have that off the top of my head. Category number 7, August the 6th. Wiggle Your Toes Day. Read a book that shows feet or toes on the cover, or read a book with a wiggly character, your interpretation, or read a book with a 10 in the publication date. So I went with one with feet on the cover, and as you can see from the picture, it's just like the characters from like the knees down. And it's kind of a really pretty cover actually. And that is Bet on Us by Rachel Higginson. And this is a story about, I believe this is a new adult, and it's about a woman who follows her boyfriend to college only to get dumped and cheated on, or cheated on then dumped. And then her roommate steals her identity and all this money from her. And I guess the roommate had been doing online gambling. And this guy who runs this online gambling site is now stating that this girl owes him all this money when really it wasn't her. Her identity was stolen. So she decides to just kind of work for him in this, online gambling thing to pay the money back. And then I guess the romance goes from there. So it sounds really cute. Like I said, I believe it's a new adult, so it should be a little bit of a lighter read, but I am looking forward to it. Category number 8, August the 19th, Aviation Day. Read a book with an airplane or other air transportation on the cover, or read a book with characters who fly somewhere, or read a book with a kitty, cat, or a hawk, bird on the cover. I'm taking some liberties with this one because I really wanted to read another one in this series and I hadn't gotten around to it for the last few months, and that is The Cat Who Ate Danish Modern by Lillian Braun. This is the second book in the Cat Who Cozy Mystery series. Now, in some editions, the cover has a cat on it. The one for the Kindle does not, but I'm going to go with it anyway. The word cat is in the title. I think that counts. And again, as I said before, this is not a romance novel, but I'm still using it in the challenge. So this book was originally published in the 1960s. Like I said, this is the second book in the Cat Who series. She did, I think, the first 3 or 4 books and then took like a 20-year hiatus from writing the series and then came back to it. So this is about a man named Jim Quillerin and his Siamese cat named Coco. And he writes for a local newspaper in Chicago, and he is on the art beat. So, again, it's the 1960s. So this one should be a lot of fun. I do absolutely adore this series, and I highly recommend anyone who likes cozy mysteries. This is an older series. The author, I believe, passed away a number of years ago. But it's absolutely wonderful. The books later in the series are not as great, but again, please do yourself a favor and read these if you enjoy cozy mystery stories with cats. Category number 9, August 27th, Just Because Day. Read a book just because. So I am actually putting in my Crew of Hunters book for the month in this one. But before I read the next Crew of Hunters book, there is a novella that's coming between book 11 and book 12, and that is Crimson Twilight, and it's book number 11.5 in the series. So I will be reading that one this month as well. It's only an 80-page novella, and it's the wedding of 2 of the characters from one of the stories a few novels ago, and it starts off with that the minister for their wedding has been killed, and then the story goes from there. So that should be really good. But then the actual book, the next Crew of Hunters book, book number 12, is going to be The Cursed by Heather Graham, and this one I believe takes place in South Florida, which Heather Graham is really well known for a lot of her books that take place in South Florida. So I'm very, very much looking forward to this one, and I do believe this one is going to be a reread. I think years ago I read this one and then didn't realize it was part of a series, and I'm now going back and of course reading them in order, but I really don't remember too much about the story, so it should still be almost like a new read to me. And category number 10, Reader's Choice. Read any book of your choice. Very similar to question number 9, but the book that I am picking to read is Lost and Found Sisters by Jill Shalvis. This was a pure shot in the dark that I actually got this one, because what I do when I do get to actually pick a book and not fit my Crew of Hunters book in there is that I do a random number generator for the amount of books I have on my TBR, and I picked this number. This just happened to be the number that was drawn, and I just bought this book recently. It's Jill Shalvis's newest publication. It is more of a women's fiction type of read as opposed to a contemporary romance. It's about sisters and family and friendships and things like that. It's an absolutely gorgeous summer cover. I mean, it's perfect for this month. And even though I'm not going to a beach, it I think will be a perfect beach read, but I'm very, very much looking forward to getting to it. So anyway, guys, that is it. Those are all the books that I plan on reading this month. Of course, I will be doing my Pick Me a Book for our book club. That will be coming this coming Friday. You can stay tuned to my Friday reads to help me pick a book. And then, of course, there will also be my my novella from the Cupid's Coffee Shop series, which will also get read this month. So yeah, please let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books or what you thought about them, or if you're going to read any of these books this month. Are you doing the Triple RC Challenge? Please post below and let me know what books you may have picked, or link to your Triple RC Challenge video. I do watch a lot of booktubers, but I'm always looking for new ones. So, especially ones that read romance as much as I do. And until my next video, guys, take care and happy reading. See you later. Bye.